Okay guys, it's been a while since we've been on the charts, so I'm quickly gonna go through and show you guys what I've been looking at this week. Over 10% this week, and I only took a few trades. I trade very few pairs these days, so this week I was only looking at these 4 pairs. AUD, USD, NZD, Franc and Euro JPY are the main pairs I look at every week, and then on Sundays I go through all the pairs just to make sure, just to check if there are any setups. So I got a sell on AUD USD and this is how it looked. I'll take that out quickly. So if we go on the daily time frame, strong uptrend, but it began to get weak at the top there. So I was looking for a reaction off of a level. So at first we had this pattern, we had this 1, 2, 3, we had that double top and we dropped off of there. But then when it got to the bottom, it didn't break, it continued to go up. So we just looked for a sell again. So it continued to rise, and then when it got to that level, when it broke the support level, it began to move correctively. So I was looking at it like this, and my perfect entry would have been if it continued to go up and make a third touch. But we're not looking for perfection, so after it broke this trend line and signified a change in the trend from an uptrend to a downtrend, I got my entry on this breakout candle with so much momentum. On this breakout candle, and the stop loss was very large because there was no correction, but the target is good, so it's fine. So obviously, because the pattern was in a high time frame, the first target is the beginning of the correction, and that's there, those levels. That's about 4%. Currently it's around 2%, and I have profit locked in at 1% around those levels. So if it goes back there, it's going to take me out for 1%, and I'm fine with that. This was the best trade I took this week, and I didn't even think it was going to be a good trade, and I'm going to show you how it looked like. The reason why I didn't think it was going to be a good trade was because I didn't really have strong confirmation on the higher time frame. So clearly we had this impulse, and on the daily we had this correction. There was a nice correction on that third touch for confluence, and then continued to go down. So as it was going down, it made this impulse, but that wasn't looking very convincing to the upside because there was no high time confirmation for the buy. So when I saw this impulse on the lower time frame, I went to the 15-minute, and then I saw this correction developing. Let me go to M5 just to make it clearer. So I saw this impulse and I saw this as a correction, and I was looking for continuation to the downside. I really didn't expect this trade to go that well. So I placed my sell stop below that low because that would signify a change in the trend. And then after I came back a few minutes later, I saw that I was triggered into the trade, and I immediately moved my stop loss to that high. And I entered more positions because I reduced the amount of risk. So I was aiming for 1 to 3, which would be around there, but I never set take profit targets because it could exceed your take profit. And then after I came back, the trade was all the way at the bottom, which is 7%, which is amazing. So far for the week we are 9% running, with 1% locked on AUD USD and about 6% locked on NZD Franc. I locked profits above this swing high, so it could take me out, and I'm okay with that. This is the trade that I'm currently in, that I took just now, and I'm going to post a screenshot. And the structure is really simple. So on the higher time frames, I'm not going to zoom out, I'm not going to go to the daily. On the higher time frames we have this 1, 2, third touch of a trend line, and when we zoom in we have this clear bullish flag with the 1, 2, third touch, and then I went all the way down to the 15-minute to find my entry, As soon as I saw that engulfing candle, I was in the trade. And because it's a risk entry on a touch instead of a breakout or a correction, my stop loss was I had a bit of space at the bottom just in case it comes back to make another touch and continue to the upside. But now I've my profits locked in on break even, and if it breaks past these levels, that'll be a clear indication that it's now a bullish trend, and then comes down for another correction, will continue going up, then I'll lock in more profits and I might be looking for another scale in opportunity. And my target is 6.8%, about 7%, the start of the correction, the 90% rule. And on the high time frame, it's looking really good. Like on this 2 hour, that bullish pin bar is looking beautiful, so I'm expecting it to keep going up. GBP USD was another trade that I had, and the structure in this one is also amazing, and I've been waiting for this trade for about 2 weeks. So on the daily time frame, we had this trend line. This was the third touch of the trend line, and as you can see, it did break the trend line, but it broke it correctively. It didn't just break right through, retest and keep going to the upside. So after it broke this trend line, it reacted off of this significant level, and it also broke through the pattern, and some people think it's invalidated, but it wasn't. So we had this 1, 2, third touch, broke, but broke correctively, and then what we're looking for is an impulse to the downside, a correction, and then continuation. So that's what we had. After that impulse, we couldn't find a perfect entry off of there. Would have been nice if it was clearer, but it wasn't very clear. Had something like that, but just continued to the upside. So after we had this impulse, then we go to the 15-minute, and we saw this clear flag. Place your sell stop below it, stop loss at the high of the pattern, and then we're triggered into the trade. And now we're just managing it. After it broke there, about 1%, I locked in profit on break even. We'll continue to go down. I locked in at 1%, and now it's taken out after price broke above this. But the potential for this trade, there was so much potential for this trade, because it could have just kept going, broken this pattern, that would have been a nice target, and continued and maybe started a downtrend. So I'm still looking for downside on this pair, and those are the trades that I took this week.